So this is a very important diagram, and it represents the layers of the Earth. But in this particular diagram, you cannot see the inner core, you can't see the outer core, and you also can't see the lower mantle, which is the big section of the mantle. What is evident in this diagram is the asthenosphere, which basically is referred to as the upper mantle, and that's about 600 kilometers thick. Above the upper mantle, otherwise called the asthenosphere, is the lithosphere. And the lithosphere is basically everything in this particular area right here. And it was Mohorovici who basically made the discovery of the boundary between the asthenosphere and the lithosphere. And so it's actually called after him. It's referred to as the Moho. So Moho is short for Mohorovici discontinuity. The reason why I'm doing this particular video is because this diagram is really good in helping to understand the lithosphere. So the lithosphere is made up of crust, both oceanic and continental. So here on the left side of the diagram you can see this little tiny slice right here. This is the oceanic crust, whereas this here is the continental crust. Naturally, you can see that the continental crust is much thicker than the ocean crust. On average, the continental crust is about 35 kilometers thick, whereas the oceanic crust is only about 5 kilometers thick. So when somebody says that the lithosphere is 100 kilometers thick, the question is, well, what actually exists beneath the continental crust or beneath the oceanic crust? And so in this course, we actually refer to that area as being the lower lithosphere. So all of this across here where I'm actually writing right now, this is what we refer to as the lower lithosphere. The only difference between the continental crust and the oceanic crust, the oceanic crust is mostly made of granite and the oceanic crust is mostly made of basalt. The oceanic crust is thinner, as you can see from this diagram, than continental crust. The oceanic crust is more dense than the continental crust, and typically continental crust is older in age than oceanic crust. Typically oceanic crust, before it gets to 200 million years, actually undergoes a process called subduction, where it actually goes down inside the ground and actually gets destroyed. So I hope this diagram helps with understanding, more than anything, the top two layers of the geosphere, which is the solid Earth.